Songwriting drag queen. Oh, we're recording now. Everyone consent, hit okay to being recorded. So yeah, every drag queen has to have a tagline, so that's mine. And for me, the singing songwriting part, well, and the shame slaying part, not so much the hip swaying. I could give or take the hip swaying, but for me, slaying shame and then singing songwriting are the really important pieces of what I do. I come from a really fundamentalist conservative evangelical upbringing, so a lot of my stuff is about religious trauma and also the flip side of that, getting past it, getting through it, and finding some queer joy. And I try to do a lot of celebrating with my music too. But as far as my career as a drag queen singer-songwriter goes, I really kind of stumbled into it. Not so much the singing songwriting part. That's a piece I've done since I was 9 years old. I wrote my first song when I was nine and have been writing ever since. And that's my first love. I feel like I'm a better songwriter than I am a drag queen. I'm still only 4 years into the drag journey, but been writing songs much longer. But it just kind of made sense for me when I started when pandemic hit, and that's when I really started kind of exploring and experimenting with drag a lot. And it just made sense for me to bring the music into it because that's kind of what drag is. Drag is a vehicle for whatever you bring to the table. I think yeah, RuPaul always says, drag doesn't, what is it? Drag doesn't hide who you are, it reveals who you are, or something like that. I'm totally butchering her quote, but drag really brings out what's inside. And so for me, obviously, that's the singer-songwriter I've always been. Early on, I was in hard pursuit of kind of the singer-songwriter um, musician life in my 20s. We didn't have all the tools back then that we do now, and it just got really hard for me. And I'm one of those people who kind of fell into church music. I was a worship leader for 22 years, and that kind of scratched my itch for music. And so after releasing a kind of a self-produced record early in my 20s, I really kind of fell into church music and just did that for a really long time. And was in a couple bands here and there. I was in a duo called Girl Boy with a white lesbian rapper from Sonora, California, and then me, Appalachian folk singer. We got together and we created this. We called it Soul Hop Pop Hop duo that we were doing in the years leading up to the pandemic, and then pandemic hit, and we were isolated. So I just started doing drag, started bringing my music into my drag, and it just really did snowball into whatever it is that I'm doing now. I never envisioned a career that would take me down this path. I never thought drag would be a way for me to showcase my songwriting and my music. And really, at at a I would say at some point in my early 30s, I had really resigned myself to the fact that like I'm a church musician and that's probably where I'll live and that's where I get to do my music. So this was a total surprise, a very joyful, wonderful surprise. I was able to quit my day job in nonprofit. I had been a nonprofit fundraiser in development and communications for about 15 years, and I was able to quit that last August. Yeah, last August. And since then, this has been my full-time gig. And like I said, right now I'm in the middle of some touring. It's Pride Month, and that's a great time to be a drag queen. So I'm in the Midwest. Just played Iowa City, my first time in Iowa last night to 215 people in a Presbyterian church there. It was awesome. Before that, I was in Chicago, and then tomorrow I'm headed to Louisville, Kentucky, which will be my first time playing Kentucky. So touring pretty much nonstop this year. And later this summer, I've got my first trip overseas since high school. I'm going to go to the UK and play Cambridge Folk Festival and another festival called it starts with a G, I can't even remember what. Oh, Greenbelt Festival, which is kind of a progressive spiritual festival. It's music, but it's a lot more too. There's theater and just speakers and all kinds of things. And then I'll also be hopping over to the Netherlands to play a festival there called Graceland. So I'll be kind of in Europe for a month. Um, and I'm actually not trying to book too many other shows while I'm over there because I just haven't had a break at all this year. And I would like to go enjoy a little bit of seeing the UK because I've never gotten to do that. So my husband will be joining me for 2 weeks while I'm out there, and yeah. And then right now, all year, I've been working on a brand new record, and just released the first single for that record. What 4 days ago? It's called Sparkle. It's Sparkle. It stands for Stay Proud, Radiate, and Keep Laughing. It was my Pride Month anthem. So we got a couple more singles that we'll be releasing over the course of the summer. And then the full album is hopefully going to drop in September. And from there, we're actively booking a fall tour to promote the record. I'm going on the road with an artist called Ivy King. She is not in the folk singer-songwriter world. She is a pop indie, almost rocker chick, but we have kind of the religious trauma background shared history, so that's where our overlap is. So we're gonna see how it goes. Put together a show that mixes, Flamy's kind of country gospel stuff with Ivy's indie pop, and all of it's about religious trauma, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, so that is as quick of a rundown as I can give you. And I think I've sent Jared a music video for this new song Sparkle that is not out yet. I just literally today, my director finally finished editing, and she's sending me the final right now. But I have a version from a couple days ago that she sent me that I figured we would have Jared play just as a fun, preview. It's not out yet, so y'all will be some of the first folks to get to see it. And here it is. Here's Sparkle.
Through the blush, oh what a revelation. It felt like a salvation when I painted what was inside out, puckered her lips and pouted. What a situation. I think I found my new vocation. But honey, you said wait, based on my inherited values that I have not investigated, this makes me uncomfortable. It's such a scandal, and it's hard for me to handle. And I said great, a certain presentation from others, but I am happy to dismantle it, cause this is not your body. I know they want you to hide it. They knock you cause they ain't tried it. You got passion, feeling good's never going out of fashion. If those haters got you stressing, let a queen give you a lesson. Since you're asking, stay proud, radiate, keep laughing. Keep laughing, baby. Oh, and they seem mad, but I am not the one. Don't care if they don't understand my transformation. I don't know an explanation. I'm recovering the joy they stole. I'm working on my soul, mind, body integration, and a little augmentation. Now, baby, I've been blessed. If you think shaming me is the way, then you might wanna think again, because your words could ricochet and make me famous. And the opposite of shame is happiness. The deepest truth of the divine is that you were meant to be happy in the here and now. So mama, why don't we reclaim this right? Now's your time to shimmer. I know they want you to hide it. They knock it cause they ain't tried it. You got passion, feeling good's never going out of fashion. If those haters got you stressing, let a queen give you a lesson. Since you're asking, stay depreciate. Laugh a little every day. Stay proud, radiate. Only love can drive out hate. Your worth will not depreciate. Laugh a little every day. Stay proud, radiate. Only love can drive out hate. Your worth will not depreciate. Laugh a little every day. Stay proud, radiate. Only love can drive out hate. Your worth will not depreciate. Laugh a little every day. Stay proud, radiate. Only love can drive out hate. Your worth will not depreciate. Laugh a little every day. Stay proud. I know they want you to hide it. They knock it 'cause they ain't tried it. You got passion and feeling good's never going out of fashion. Those haters got you stressing. Let a queen give you a lesson. If you're asking, stay proud, radiate, keep laughing. I know they want you to hide it. They knock it 'cause they ain't tried it. You got passion, feeling good's never going out of fashion. Those haters got you stressing. Let a queen give you a lesson. If you're asking, stay proud, radiate.
And there we have it. That's fun to get to show that to people for the first time. Thank you. Appreciate the applause. So yeah, as I said in the comments, Heather May directed that. She is the best. I absolutely adore her. Highly recommend Heather for all of your video needs. She loves making videos. She says almost as much as she likes being a singer-songwriter. So she did an incredible job with that. And then that's Ricky Brady is the featured artist on that track. He was on season 17 of The Voice. He came out on the show. He was also comes from a very fundamentalist religious background, and so his kind of our stories really lined up there. So I was really happy that he was available and excited to do that song with me. And yeah, and so that's kind of we've kicked off into full album release mode now. We got, like I said, we have two more singles coming and then the album in September. So it's a busy, busy, busy time. But I wanted to, oh yeah, Jared, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you for sharing that premiere even before it's out. Appreciate the sneak peek here on Folk Plus, but we're at the halfway point if you wanted to jump into some questions and stuff.
Let's do it. Hi y'all. Who's got something to say?
Feel free to unmute yourself and speak up.
Amazing work. Thank you so much for that. That made me feel fantastic, and I just greatly appreciate it. I can't wait to see that like go out into the world, and it's awesome to hear about the collaborations you made. So I guess, how'd you get collaborated with Heather May? I mean, it's so funny how social media just kind of like the algorithms just introduce you to people and you're like, wow, I didn't know that person. And then all of a sudden you're seeing so much from them. So Heather's kind of been on my radar, and now you're going to be, and I love how this works. But yeah, how'd you get this collaborated?
I mean, yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And it really is social media. Actually, Heather and I did meet in person. Let's see. Oh, we met at an Adeem the Artist show. I opened for Adeem last year. No, 2 years ago. This was late 22. I opened for Adeem the Artist in Nashville, and Heather was at that show. So that's where we met. Just chatted briefly, got on each other's radar at that point. But it really was through social media that I got to know her and learned what she was doing and was about. I'm good friends with her partner, Chris Matthews, as well. I've done some touring with Chris. And so, yeah, it's funny. I love this community and how literally showing up at Folk Alliance once. I've been twice now, but my first time just like flung the doors open for me to this world that I didn't really know existed. Like I said, I was existing in church music and just was kind of happy and content there. And then thankfully my friends brought me along to Folk Alliance, and I didn't even know what I was coming into. This was 23. And I so much so that I hadn't even taken off work. I like was working remotely during the day and then trying to fit in conference stuff. And I was like, gosh, I wish I had taken the PTO because this conference is amazing. So my world blew open, starting with Folk Alliance in 23, and then that led me to Kerrville Folk Festival, where I entered the songwriting competition, the New Folk competition, and won that last year. And then I had my first official showcase at this year's Folk Alliance earlier this year. And I just, yeah, our world is it's great how the algorithm does kind of introduce us to each other, and I just feel super connected now to so many people that I didn't even know a year and a half ago, and it's really transformed my whole life.
Hey, Flamy, I have a question because it kind of rolls right off of that. And also, hi, Kat. It's good to see you. Um, we don't really see, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, the rest of the team here at FAI, but we don't really see a lot of like drag queens. I think that you're the first like drag queen that I've seen at Folk Alliance or at Americana Fest. I'm just curious, like, how did you discover this like unique overlap of like the Americana scene and the folk scene with your work, and why don't we see more like drag performances like intersecting with this like folk Americana space? What makes like you
Yeah,
strategy?
that's super interesting, actually. Thanks for that question, Fawn. For me, it was a supernatural thing because this is the music I grew up on and have always loved and have written myself over the years, you know. So when um I was saying I think at the very beginning of this session, like drag just you just bring what you are to drag. Like drag can be anything, right? So you just bring yourself to your drag, and it kind of evolves, or at least for me, it has evolved really naturally that way by just being myself. So that's how I got here. It was it was just me wanting to do more drag and then realizing, well, I'm not the stunt queen. I'm not the death dropping queen. I don't dance very well. I can do some comedy and some theater. Like I have a little bit of that in my background, but really the core of what I love the most is writing songs. And so I was like, what does that look like as a drag performer? And I wonder if the second part of your question there is like, why don't we see more of it? I wonder if that just has to do with the fact that historically, obviously this has changed a lot in very recent years with RuPaul's Drag Race and things like that really blowing up the drag world. But historically, drag was such a uh, you know, back room corner like art form. Like it was not a mainstream art form, and in so many ways, it was a like scary, dangerous art form to take on, depending on where in the world you live and you know what your community is like. My community would never have been embraced or been accepting of me doing this when I was growing up, which is why I was, you know, 36, 37 before I started doing drag. But I think and I hope that with the way the world is, you know, thanks to the work of Drag Race and just the exposure that drag now has, and it's both good and bad because you know a lot of people are more aware of drag and mad about it as well. But I hope that it does kind of like invite more people to just bring their own creativity to drag in broader ways, because it's been pretty much, you know, I think most people will, when they think of drag, will think of either, you know, RuPaul's Drag Race or just like your weekend brunch where the divas come out and do their flips and spins and stunts. And but there's so much more to what you can do with drag. Drag's theater. It can be anything. Just in the same way that you can watch any kind of thing happen on a stage. So it's a vehicle. Oh, snapping work. Yeah, it's a vehicle, and I hope that more people bring music and songwriting to drag. There are a few, and a lot of queens do, you know, like club music now, and fierce, like the dance tracks and that kind of stuff. Trixie Mattel, of course, is famous for being kind of a country Americana drag queen. She really, I would probably say, is the first that at least most of us know. But she's been talking about it lately and has talked a lot about the glass ceiling with drag music and how it's hard to be taken seriously as an artist who does drag music. So that was not very fun to hear her talk about that with, I think with Shea Coulee, the two of them were talking about that. And I was like, oh gosh, so that's what I'm up against. Great. But you know what? I love a challenge. So like let's break a glass ceiling and show people that drag musicians can be real songwriters too. Thanks for that, Fawn.
Excellent. We have Casey up.
Case, oh, hands raised. Sorry, I see that now.
Okay, yeah. Obviously, I'm biased because I'm Heather May's booking agent, but I always love you as well. But my biggest question is like, what does being a drag queen kind of allow you to do and express that maybe you, as Matthew, wouldn't express?
Oh, so much. Like, it's hard to even put into words how like it just gives me this access to all these parts of myself that are obviously me, like they're obviously there, um, because there's not some like I don't think there's some magical spirit that descends and like I become somebody else. Like it's all in here, but it's still like the power of drag for me is that it unlocks like even just the way Flamy is so extroverted. Like I will like last night after last night's show, I hung around for probably a good hour just in a line with people who wanted to take pictures and chat after the show. And that happens regularly. And normally, like Matthew would run from that scenario. I'm a wallflower at parties. I am the Irish Exeter. Like I will get out like but Flamey's like there for all of it. And it's really fascinating to kind of watch how drag can just give you access to parts of yourself that you might not have even known were there. And then just in terms of songwriting, like it gives me a whole other voice to, I mean, and this gets really personal, but like drag is how I like have started to learn about my own gender identity and come to terms with who I am in that space because I performed male most of my life, and didn't even realize I was performing until drag came along and like gave me breathing room and gave me space to just be myself and realize, oh, I'm like so non-binary. I just like I want to be genderless. I don't want like my favorite part about what I do to prep for drag is like shaving everything. Like I shave my eyebrows, I just want to be that kid from Community, that sitcom. The Greendale mascot is the human being, like because they're trying to offend nobody, and so they're just like we're the human beings, and their mascot is just like a bald white, like the stick figure person, and so I'm like I resonate with that. Like that's how I want to walk around in the world when I'm not in drag. I just want to be a blank canvas. So it's just transformed everything for me from how I relate to people, how I write songs. It's a really powerful act to do gender fuckery. It unlocks a lot for you. Bye, Cindy.
Amazing. We have time for another one, Melanie.
Hello. I am curious.
Hi.
Hello. How the change from having a full-time job for many years to doing music has felt for you. I'm always curious how it feels for that to be the main job or not to different people. And your last question also made me think it might, how you feel about yourself and your identity might have changed a lot with that
Yeah.
job change. So my question.
Yeah, thanks. Great question. I think it's scary as hell, obviously, to like think about giving up what you think is like your security and your safety and all that, like the benefits and the healthcare and everything. And that was I really was stuck in that mentality, I think, for so long. You take on debt as an adult and you're just like, well, I can't actually do this. I can't actually just like be a full-time anything other than a steady paycheck person. And it has been hard, like crazy, crazy hard. I've been super lucky in that, like I had a couple weird viral moments happen early on that opened up my social media to an audience that's big enough to where like I can tour nationally now. And so very grateful for those things that happened, but it's still yeah, it was scary as hell to think about giving all of that quote unquote security up and dive into this full time. But I'm so glad that I did, and I'm so glad that again, very quickly, I had friends introduce me to this community, that I found the Kerrville Folk Festival and other places like that where I I just have so many people I can rely on for advice and information, and I do now all the time. I didn't at first because it's like I feel there's like maybe pressure, or at least I felt pressure to like, oh, I gotta like appear like I have it all together and I know what I'm doing. And I didn't. And why would I think I should know what I'm doing? I worked in nonprofit for 15 years. This is a whole industry that like there's so much to learn. So that's why I'm grateful for spaces like Folk Plus and Folk Alliance and just any chance I get to like eat up and I see our time, Jared, eat up, information from other people. Like I just, it's, I take it and receive it, and I'm so grateful for all of the generous people in our community who are just happy to do that. I mean, Heather May is absolutely one of those people. She's been so helpful to me over the past couple years. I ping her for questions all the time. So yeah, it's and I will say it's like why did I wait so long? Like I love this life. It's hard and crazy and I'm scatterbrained and um but my God, like I'm happier than I've ever been in my life. So yeah.
Well, I know you just had your first official showcase at Folk Alliance this year, but I cannot wait to be bringing you back as a veteran in 10 years, getting all of the young drag folk stars under your wing.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
going to be amazing. I will be there for it. And I can't wait, Flamy Grant, to have you back for everything and anything. Thank you
Thank
all
you.
so much for being here, every single one of you. There is another Q&A starting in 1 minute. Javier Jara is going to be there, an incredible musician and singer and songwriter. But with our last minute together, I hope you get back out on the road safe. And any of us who are in Louisville, we'll see you there or catch you at one of your other shows on this incredible tour.
Thank y'all so much. And I appreciate all of you showing up. This was really fun. Thanks, Jared.
Of course, our pleasure. Bye, all.
Bye.